Hey folks, it's Echo here. This is my new horde base, the Spark. When I designed this, I had two goals in mind, the first of which was to have a low resource base that could be easily built by day 7, and secondly, I wanted to play with the new zombie crawl mechanics. In all honesty, I only expected this base to be viable through day 21, but after doing some testing here, I tossed a day 42 horde at it, and at game stage 250 in the wasteland, it survived without a problem. If you want to see some of the footage from that battle, I'll put it at the end of the video, but let's jump into the tutorial. If you've never seen one of my tutorials, I typically like to break the base into stages, so for this I've got the Spark broken into 3 stages, the first of which is meant to target day 7 horde. For this one you're going to be primarily wood and cobblestone, you're not going to have any electrical yet. Stage 2 you'll upgrade everything to cobblestone with some concrete, additionally you'll add in the electrical bits, and finally stage 3 is the final evolution where you can add paint, upgrade everything to concrete and steel, and add the last bit of electrical components. If you're brand new to 7 Days to Die and the building feels daunting or complicated, check the video I have up above here and that'll give you a starting point before you jump into the tutorial. Stage 1 of the Spark should be easily attainable by day 7. This was designed after I played around with some of the 2.0 crawling mechanics, so what this allows the zombies to do is jump over the first security gate, and then as they're trying to get into their crawl position, they tend to stumble a lot, so you get a lot of recycling zombies. It's got the 14-meter drop, which prevents the zombies from going to rage mode. Also, you have grenade chutes to drop stuff down into the pit. If you want to grab materials before we get started, you're going to need about 3,400 wood, 2,400 stone and clay to be able to make cobblestone, 10 forged iron, and then a couple torches. In terms of location, any of the biomes will work, but you want to find a spot that's ideally level in at least 14 by 7 blocks. For this first step, we'll be building up the base side, which will include the 3 pillars leading up to the central fighting position. The first thing I'm going to do is mark off the spaces where we're going to put those pillars using building shapes. I like to do that just to make sure my spacing is right before I start digging things out and placing blocks. I also highly recommend just having a stack of these in your inventory as you're doing a base build to mark out spacing, or to use as temporary scaffolding to reach high places. Here we're digging out 6 spaces where we're going to place wood blocks and then upgrade those to cobblestone. I always like to dig my pillars at least 1 block down because dirt has very low hit points, and if the zombies take out the dirt below the pillar, then the whole structure is compromised. For the foundation blocks, we'll just be using basic cubes. On top of these, we're going to build the pillars using wedge 60 blocks and ramp 8M01 blocks. The wedge 60 blocks will go on the outside with the half side pointed towards where we're going to build the pit. And then on the inside, we're going to be placing ramp 8M01 facing so that we still have kind of that same triangular point towards the pit. For the wedge 60s, you'll want to go to a total height of 10 blocks up. And then for the ramp 8M01s, you're going to bring those up to 9, just 1 short, as that's where we're going to be connecting the floor. Some may question the loss of XP by not starting everything with wood and then upgrading. I say take whatever approach feels comfortable for you. For me, I like to make sure that my primary pillars are built out of a stronger material that have more horizontal support. Once you've completed the front left pillar, we're going to repeat the exact same pattern except for mirrored on the right side. So again, wedge 60s on the outside with ramp 8M01s on the inside. On the back side of the base, we're going to use wedge tip fools to create the pillar going all the way up the top, also where we're going to place the ladders. On the back side of the triangle here, we're going to put 2 plate blocks, and above that, we'll start placing the round ladders. By placing the ladders 2 blocks up, it makes it so that the zombies don't view this as a valid path, but you can still jump onto that first ladder and then climb up like this. Now to build the rest of this pillar up, you're just going to be alternating between the round ladder and the wedge tip full block. So you'll put a wedge tip full, then you'll move back down the ladder a little bit because you can't place it when you're there. Place the ladder, move up, place the wedge tip, and just repeat. You'll carry this up to a total height of 9 wedge tip fulls, and then on top of that, the 10th block will be just a regular cube. You'll also place 1 last ladder on top of that cube block, and now you have your pathway into the base. To build the floor, we're going to add 2 cubes to the wedge 60 in the front, and then put another wedge 60 in the back that mirrors the front one. From here, we'll simply connect 2 cubes over to where we're standing, and then we're going to repeat the same process on the opposite side. With the outline in place, now we're going to put 3 cubes along the left side and then 3 cubes along the right side here. Then we're going to put 2 cubes coming off from the center from the back. And then right in front of that, we're going to put a cube beveled corner. Make sure you have the orientation so that the notch is in the front left like we have here. Now we'll place these 3 cubes, leaving a hole there that we're going to fill in with a special block in a minute. In those 2 front gaps, we're going to be placing ramp 8M01s with the thick side on the top, narrowing down to the point on the bottom. Now in that gap that we created, we're going to put a wedge narrow low corner. This is going to allow us sight lines down to the area below the base to either either shoot or drop grenades. Now it's time to put the walls and roof on, but first I want to make sure that the first row where we have the fighting position is upgraded so it creates a continuous path the whole way across for stability. Moving to the corners, we're going to place a wedge 60 slope middle, make sure it lines up with the wedge 60 below. Then keeping that same pattern, we're going to go with a cube 1/2 wedge 60 bevel left. Make sure you have it rotated so that the opening is on the bottom, and then on top of that you'll place one more wedge 60. Now we'll move to the blocks to the right of this. We're going to start with a cube, and then above it we're going to put a cube corner beveled with the angle on the left side here, so it creates a gap for us to reach through to place electric fences and repair them later on. And above this, we'll simply place the basic cube. After this, we'll move one block to the right, and we're going to place a plate corner so that it kind of frames where we have that ramp going down. This is where grenades are going to go. And then right above that, we're going to put a ramp inside corner facing outward. And then finally above that, we'll place just a regular old cube. Once you have this side down, you're going to mirror this on the other side with the exception of this block, the cube 1/2 wedge 60 bevel right instead of the bevel left. Otherwise, these blocks are all going to be the same, just going from the opposite sides. And honestly, if you've made it this far, you've made it through the most complicated parts of the build because this uses some unique shapes that you don't always see. With both sides built now, we just have to connect them. So we're going to put a cube corner beveled with the angled wedge facing back towards us. And now you have the whole front wall put together. So one tip that I will give, if you're uncomfortable placing wood shapes, you can always start with building shapes for this portion and then upgrade them to wood if that makes it easier for you. Now we're ready to add it on the wall, so we're just going to put cubes in the formation that you see here. We're going to leave one space open. That's going to be for us to put a storage chest in. Then on the corner, we're going to put wedge 60. Make sure you just copy the rotation of the block below. That's going to make your life a lot easier. And then nerd pole up kind of on top and drop these. Then along the back, we're just going to make a wall of cubes, leaving 2 blocks open where the ladder comes up. Next to the wall, we'll follow the wedge 60 all the way up 3 blocks. Again, just copy the rotation of that block below, make your life easy. Then we're going to fill in cubes in the side and kind of a different formation here. We're going to bring them up the side here, and then we're going to bring it across. We're going to leave 2 open spots here. This is going to be for generators and switches later on. For the roof, we're going to use plate blocks, but we're going to have them so that they're rotated upward. This is going to give the illusion of more space inside of the base so that you don't feel so claustrophobic. With the roof now in place, we're going to put a ladder round shape right up against that opening, then jump up through here, and we'll be able to put a hatch over top of that so that we can protect ourselves from birds coming in. And then additionally, as a little bit of extra protection, we're going to put a few wood spikes across the top. I don't like using wood spikes generally, but it'll help for the first horde. Now we're going to nerd pole up to the outside of the base, and we're going to add these ramp 8M01s and create kind of an angle on the outside. The real reason we're doing this is to hide that hole there where we're going to be putting the storage box. I have been liberally using this tactic in a lot of my bases here recently. It allows you to fit more in a smaller space so that you don't feel so cramped. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We have those 2 open blocks, and like I mentioned before, we're going to end up putting the generator at the bottom and then a switch on top of that. And with such a cramped little base like this, this just expands your interior space out by a little bit. Heading back to the inside of the base, we're going to fill in that fighting position area with a scaffolding ladder at the bottom and then pole double at the top. And then where we have those grenade chutes, we're going to put in 2 doors here just to block those off in case we have things like cop spit coming up from the bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and place our storage box over here in the corner. You can upgrade that at your whimsy. And then to button things up, we're going to put a door on the back. With this in place, now all we got to do is go finish up the front side of the fighting position. So go ahead and nerd pull up to the front here, and then we're going to place a couple torches on each side just so that we have good illumination during horde. Then we're going to double up on defenses, putting pole doubles across the front in both positions here. Then we'll do wedge 60s across the top of this to stop the zombies from stacking up. So we'll put 3 of these across here, and then wedge 60 tips on the edge of those. Now you're going to upgrade the key areas around the fighting position up to cobblestone. We're also going to want to get the bottom 2 blocks around each of the pillars and make sure that those are upgraded. Now we're going to move on to step 2, which is the pit. We'll need the resources and shape noted on the left, and then we'll follow the green path that you see around to outline the pit to get started. We'll begin by digging a 1-block trench right behind the front 2 pillars that you have. So we'll just come along here and dig all this up, and then we're just going to replace this with wood blocks. Now we'll head to the front and dig another trench 1 deep and 9 spaces forward and fill that with wood cubes. We'll repeat the same thing 6 blocks across for a total of 7 width here. And now we'll complete the rectangle by digging 8 blocks back towards the pillar. Now that we have the pit outlined, we're just going to dig 4 blocks down, and each step that we go down, we're going to place another stair in the 2 corners. To speed up the process here, make sure that you're using a shovel of the highest level of quality that you can craft currently and that you have any applicable mods attached to it. Additionally, Treasure Hunter level 1 and 2 will increase your damage to dirt by 50% each. Once you have the pit dug out and you have your 4 stairs on each side, we'll begin adding in the walls, starting with the ones underneath the pillars. We'll start the top 3 blocks with wedge narrow tips, and then right below that we'll have wedge narrow lows, and then once you have those, we'll move on to wedge narrow middle, and finally the last 3 across the bottom will be wedge narrow highs. Flanking each side of the wedge narrows, you'll see those 2 cobblestone cubes. We're going to just dig underneath those so that we can have wooden cubes going all the way up the side leading to those. And then behind each of those, we're going to add 2 columns of 4 cubes going up, and then a column of 4 ramp blocks angled so that the pit flares outward towards the stairs. Then you'll simply repeat this on the right side. Next, you'll want to dig out the area behind the stairs and replace this all with wooden cubes, and then additionally the block right underneath the second stair. Then go ahead and repeat the same process on the other side. Now we're going to dig this last little dirt that I left behind, and then we're going to build the platform below where the ladders all lead up into the base. For our zombie bridge to the fighting position, this is where your structural integrity is going to come from. So if you have stronger materials, go with stronger materials, but we're going to go with wood on the left side because that's not load bearing. But then we're going to go cobblestone in the middle because that is load bearing, and then we'll put wood on the right side. So again, just use whatever the strongest material you have at the time that you're building the base. Now we're just going to go ahead and upgrade some of this wood over to cobblestone around the areas where the zombies are most likely to beat on. The platform around the approach and the stairs take the most damage typically. The last thing that we're going to do for the pit is add a little bit of reinforcement to the 2 pillars. We'll put 2 plate 1/2 blocks at the bottom, and then above that a plate ramp 1/2 left. And then we'll simply repeat that on the other side, but the top block will be a plate ramp 1/2 right. The reason why we put those plate ramps at the top is it angles in towards the base to make it look more flush. Now it's time to build a way for the zombies to come on into the base, so grab those resources and shapes over on the left, and we'll start building the bridge highlighted in green on the image on the right. Starting right in the middle of this 3x3 platform, we're going to place a metal trussing 3D, and then we'll put a ladder on the back of it. And we will essentially just alternate this going all the way up until we're 10 blocks up. One important note on this one, please, 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 do this with cobblestone to start with because wood will not have the structural integrity to support the bridge that we're building across. Once you have that first 3D truss pillar going up, you're going to go and repeat that over here on the side closest to the pit. Then you can use the ladders that we just placed to head down to the bottom, and then we're going to put ladders on each of the other sides of this block here. This is going to give the zombies essentially 3 different ladders that they can go up, which gives you both redundancy and additional flow of zombies moving upward. Now we're going to create the bridge across. To do that, you're going to want to go kind of midway through and nerd pull along the side of the pit. So just grab yourself some building shapes and jump up here. And then once you get up to an angle where you can easily see both sides here, we're going to grab a security gate centered, and we'll connect 4 of those to the 3D trusses that we just placed. And to connect everything up, we're going to use an iron door. So pay close attention to the placement of this in terms of rotations. Make sure the door handle's on the bottom and the open space is on the right. Placement is important because it allows you to reach through that cube beveled corner we placed earlier to be able to open and close the door. Next, you're going to place 3 security gate plates, 1 off from the first security gate there. And this is where we're making basically our zombie jungle gym. So you'll go 3 up, nerd pull back down, and then climb back up. And then we're going to place another of the 3D truss blocks right up here at the top, and that's going to force the zombies to have to crawl underneath there. Place 1 last security gate centered here for the zombies to jump over, and you're good to go. So that is all you need for the day 7 horde. I will give you this optional dog ramp, but I'm also going to explain to you why it's an absolute waste of time. I think on every stream and every video that I've ever done with a ladder style base, I get a million comments about people asking, well, what about the dogs? What about the direwolves? Similar question on what about the vultures? And I have a consistent answer, which is you just ignore them all. They do insignificant damage to actually take a base down. When I show you the day 42 horde night on this, you'll see some direwolves nipping at the bottom of the base. They didn't do any substantial damage. You'd have to have like a massive pack of direwolves to actually bring a base down. As long as you have redundancy in place, you're fine. You can do some repairs afterwards and deal with it. And end rant. Okay, if you do want a ramp, here's one. I'm not going to go into the specific block by block, but you can see kind of how I put it together. For stage 2, we're going to be targeting completion by day 14. We're going to upgrade our materials to cobblestone and concrete. We're also going to be adding in electric fences as well as some additional reinforcements. To make this happen, you're going to need 5,200 stone, 5,200 clay, about 30 forged iron, a generator, an engine, 2 electric fence posts, and a switch. One of the biggest questions that I get asked on this is how do you get the electrical components? My recommendation is to constantly be checking the trader to see if they have them available in case you can't actually craft them yourself. The first thing you're going to need to do in stage 2 is go ahead and upgrade everything that you've got to cobblestone. Ideally, by the time you're going through this process, you've gotten yourself a hold of a claw hammer. That's going to speed up this quite a bit. Also, I highly recommend not doing this all at once. Try to space this out over time so that you do a little bit each day. That way, once you hit Horde Night, you're ready to go. Next, we're going to be reinforcing the front 2 pillars of the base. On the back side of these, we're going to be adding wedge narrow tips along the outside. And then in that small gap on the inside part, we're going to add plate wedge 60 fillers. And as we've done before, we're going to nerd pull up so that we can carry these all the way up to the top of the base. This is going to provide additional connections all the way down to bedrock, meaning that you can lose more supports without your entire base toppling over. Once you complete one side, again, we're just going to mirror this exact same process on the other side. Now you're ready to add the electrical fences, so just grab all the parts and pieces you see over on the left and let's get at it. To add the electric fences, we're going to need to build some structure. So first we're going to take ramp incline blocks and put 3 of them here stacked up. And then attached to those, we're going to add a pull corner bracket centered. The idea of this is to give some protection to the electric fences from cop spit and things along those lines. And once you finish one side, you're simply going to mirror the same process on the other side. Now it's time to get everything wired up, so you're going to put a generator over in the corner here. Right above that, you'll put a switch on the wall. Then we're going to place our first electric fence out that little window to the left. It's kind of tricky to hit it, but rotate it around. I like doing it so that you can see the shiny red facing towards you, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And that's going to give you access to repair, but the cop spit can't really get through those. So now we're going to load an engine here into the generator, refuel it, turn it on, grab your wire tool, and we're going to connect from the generator up to the switch, from the switch to the electric fence, and from this electric fence to the other one. And now you're wired up and good to go for Horde Night. Now for the final step in stage 2, we're just going to do a few upgrades here. We'll start by upgrading all the wooden doors in the base to iron, and then lastly we're going to add an iron hatch over the grenade hole at the bottom that just prevents you from falling in during Horde Night. It makes things a little bit more easy to deal with. After this, we're going to nerd pull up on the front of the base, and we're going to use the 6M ramp series to be able to add both character as well as an additional amount of defense. So we'll start at the bottom and add ramp 6M01, then ramp 6M02s, and then ramp 6M03s finally. After that, make your way down to the pit, and you're just going to dig out 1 block down. You can go underneath as well. I highly recommend that, but at very minimum, just take out the existing blocks that are here and replace everything with cobblestone. One of the other things that I recommend for stage 2, but I'm not going to dictate, is going to be your upgrades from cobblestone to concrete. As you do more and more Horde Nights, you gain an understanding of where zombies tend to beat on the most. So I'm going to try to highlight that. If you look at all the areas in red, these are the places to focus on your upgrades first. As always, when you're looking to upgrade, make sure that you upgrade from the bottom up so that you maintain structural integrity. Stage 3 is honestly going to be pretty quick. We're going to walk through some electrical upgrades as well as some pivots from iron to steel. I'll let you know the paints that I used in my instance here, and then we'll toss a horde at this thing and see how it works. Similar to stage 2, the first thing that we're going to do is upgrade everything that we've got here to concrete. Similar to stage 2, you should upgrade any critical areas to steel as soon as you have available materials. That's just going to make your Horde Nights a little bit safer and easier. One of the other big areas that I noticed in doing my day 42 Horde is that the pit will take a lot of damage if you have demo explosions or cop explosions down there, so consider trying to get at least the floor and some of the initial sides of that up to steel. Speaking of which, next up we have a small upgrade to the pit that I'll show. For this, we're going to be upgrading the area right below the ladders so that they have additional support. We'll start off by upgrading the center section directly underneath the pillars to steel. Then on the left side, we're going to put ladder round just to give the zombies yet another way out of the pit here. In the middle, we're going to put plate wall deco 01s. And this could be a plate or any block, quite honestly. We just went for that for aesthetic. And then finally, ladder rounds on the side. The last part of stage 3 involves updating some of your electrical systems, adding lighting and some additional firepower. The first thing we want to do is replace the iron door leading in the base. That is our dump mechanic. So we're going to replace this with a powered vault door. Before you take it out, I highly recommend copying the rotation. Unfortunately, you can't just upgrade to a powered vault door. You do have to remove it. Next, we're going to place a second electrical fence above where we have the other one currently. And then you will also need to add an additional electrical fence on the other side. For this second fence, I was not able to reach it from the inside. I did have to nerd pull up. So just so you know, if you're trying to do it from the inside, we can do all the wiring from the inside, but we can't actually place the electrical fence. Or at least I didn't manage to successfully. Let me know if you figured that one out. Once this is done, you're ready to head on into the base and do all your electrical wiring. But first, we're going to go ahead and upgrade this iron door in the back to a vault door. So we'll just close that up, give it a quick upgrade. And then interior here, we're going to come over to the area we were working at before. We're going to add lights in the corners, one here and one here. Then we're also going to go ahead and add in a switch to the right of the other switch, and this is going to control the vault door so you can dump zombies. Now we just got to wire everything up. So we're going to come off of this switch here to turn on the lights. So from here to here, go ahead and switch it on so we get a little bit of illumination as we're working here. Next, we'll go ahead and layer on the new electrical fences. So make sure you hit the top one there, and you can see the double set of lines, and then we'll pull this across to the right side. You might have to crouch a little bit to be able to get that connection going. And now we'll pull one off of the switch. Also, actually, never mind that. Let's go straight off the generator to the switch. And from the switch out here to our powered vault door. And now all we got to do is press that, and it's going to bring that up to allow the zombies across. So if you get overwhelmed, you just flip the switch and you dump them. It won't get all of them, but you'll get most of them. Now we'll go ahead and upgrade our hatch all the way from iron and then to steel. And then we're going to head up on the roof and add a few things. We're going to add some spotlights here to give lighting onto the pathway across, and we're going to add some SMG turrets. So over here in the corners, we'll put spotlights angled back inward like that and like that. And then if you still got your spikes, you can leave them there. There's no reason to take them out, but we are going to put an SMG turret here. This is primarily just to deal with birds, and when you get it wired up, I highly recommend that you have it angled upwards so it only targets the birds. Now we're going to wire up everything on the roof, and we're starting to get a lot of connections off of the light switch, so we're actually going to come from the light up here and take that to the spotlight over there. And then we'll also pull a feed off of the other light here and take that to the secondary spotlight on the other side. Lastly, let's make sure these are aimed in the right direction, so you'll hold down E to interact, go down to the aim, click on the little picture up top, and then point it at where you want it. So we just want both of these facing back towards the fighting position, and it's going to light up things from two different angles. Once that's done, all we got to do is get the SMG turret wired up. So we're going to take a feed directly off the power switch, I think, for this one. And then we'll bring this up to the SMG, and we just need to load it, have it ready for Horde Night. Get that connected. We'll add some ammo in here. Lock the ammo, and I normally just leave it targeting zombies, and you're good to go. So we are ready to toss a horde at this thing, and I gotta be honest, I didn't really expect this thing to hold up that well against the later game stage hordes. So here we are, it's day 42. I went ahead and did some steel upgrades on the critical areas like the approach and the fighting position. My biggest concern is that single plank across, because if that goes down, we lose everything. I was also curious to see if my little jungle gym here, forcing them to crawl, would slow things down enough to allow us to get through things. From a build perspective, I went with a perception build here. I hate spears, but here we are using them. The rifle is mighty powerful though. We've got the grenade chute down here where we can look down the backside and take out the doggos. I should also note, insofar as levels, I gave myself 56 levels, which is probably under where I would actually be at day 42. Let's go ahead and show you the usage of the front grenade chute. So you've got the two doors on either side. You just pop it open, hut grenades down, close the door, and then you're protected. Gives you easy access to the pit, and you could actually shoot down there if you wanted to. You've got pretty good sight lines. I'm really happy how these turned out because you've got good visibility and you can't fall through it, which are the two things that I'm looking for in a grenade chute. I gotta say also, even though this base wasn't designed for perception build, man, they line up very nicely. And there you can see our direwolves and our dogs just going to town on the pillars. Hardly doing anything to them though. But if you are concerned, you have the option to pop open this back trap door. You can actually crouch down into it. It's a little tricky getting back out. Huck grenades down there. Take care of them with ease. Overall, I've got to say that this base has absolutely exceeded my expectations. I was expecting this to be a lot dicier than it's been. But here we are just kind of cleaning up. The other thing that I didn't consider, you could probably have 3 people fighting this base. If you had 2 at the side base shooting down, I mean, you'd have to be pretty close with each other, but it'd work. The other nice feature that this one has that I use in a lot of my bases, you've got a switch over here on the side. That is going to cause the door to flip downward. It won't dump all the zombies, but it will give you a slight reprieve. And here we are already rapidly approaching the end of Horde Night. The sun is starting to come up in the sky, and I am feeling pretty damn triumphant. But I should probably hold that thought until we get below. I do want to check out and see how much damage we sustained, because That is the real question of a base, and it looks like we took some hits along the top here. Let's look down in the pit below, because I'm pretty sure that we had a demo go off down here. Yeah, so we took some damage, we lost a few blocks there, probably could upgrade a little bit more, but none of the pillars are even damaged at all, it looks like. I mean, not anything that we can see visibly. The walkway here looks pretty solid, doors in decent shape. I did do a small amount of repairs during the horde night, but nothing significant. So I decided we were gonna, do some stuff for science here. So that was the back pillar of the base. I'm just using the super digger gun from the dev tools to take some of the base down and just see how much stability this thing has. And I'll say that it surprised me. So we're on to the second pillar here. And just for frame of reference, the door does not provide stability back to the base portion. That is attached essentially to the ladders going up. So here we have the base sitting on a single leg at this stage. But of course, we can't stop here because science, we have to know. Let's see how much of this last leg we can chip away before the whole thing comes tumbling down to the ground. And it looks like that's about all it can take. For fairly modest resources, I'd say this is a pretty amazing outpost base, easily built by day 7. Looking forward to seeing what you do with it. Hey folks, thanks for watching the Spark. I hope you enjoyed that. Just a reminder, if you wanted the materials list for that, I have it as a download free on my Patreon. You can see the link below or where my face is going to be in a second. As always, a huge thanks to these incredible supporters over here. I will see everyone on the next video. Cheers all.